is going to be a high level because I'm high, and it's going to be a high level perspective of AZD's teachings. And AZD is this guy that you see on all these accounts with all the face tats and spitting philosophy, what I like to call truth bombs, bombs of truth. Clever little sound bites or whatever. I trained a lot of the staff originally for how to make these clips. I'm very good at it, actually, very good, but I don't train them anymore. And these clips have helped grow these accounts and spread awareness of AZD. Who is this guy? The billboard of, or there's a better word for it, but the main attractor, the magnetism of the character AZD is all the women, the relationships, the quality of women, the quantity of women. And when you look at it, it's kind of counterintuitive because he's a little ugly guy, Persian, whatever, doesn't look like a typical ladies' man, but he talks in ways that even if you don't see the women around, you're like, man, these hand gestures, these tonality inflections and whatever, there's something slightly feminine about it, but there's also something that's just like so dynamic and just kind of out of the ordinary, unordinary, that you keep listening. And a certain guy with a certain level of intelligence just keeps on listening because it makes sense. And you start patching together a mosaic that's completely different than your current perceptions of the world and women and you as a man, your place in it, and how to function, operate, win, whatever, win the competition. So over the years, I'm Yogi Chris, right? I discovered AZD. I've told my story many times, but I'll synthesize it in a few sentences. I was a PhD student, and I was in Italy, and I was looking up, I was trying to find help about my relationships, my heartache, my headache, whatever I had about X and X. And I came across AZD videos. I came across pickup artists, and then I came across AZD. Kind of liked it, whatever. I went with some pickup coaches, namely Style, who's like the protege of Mystery, because I do go for the best. And at the time, I didn't have the ears and the mind to perceive what AZD was spitting. Plus, it was many years ago. It was like 2013 or something, the end of 2013. And I learned some pickup. Then I circled back to AZD through YouTube and Facebook was, pushing the videos organically. And I come across them and I dive in, buy a product, buy another product, blah, blah, blah. Fly out from Florida, meet him in person for a one-on-one at the time in 2015, about exactly 9 years ago. And from then on, I was hooked. I saw it live. I did study with other teachers who he recommended and collaborated with also, like Vince Kelvin, Hypnotica, etc., and the pimp Kevin Jeffries or Gentry or whatever, Boss Hog, uh, and whoever else. But I was always, with AZD, everything he did, except for one event I missed once because I had no money and really had no money. I guess I could have asked to borrow it, but it wasn't in my mind at the time to do that. And I was already borrowing a bunch. I was in India and blah, blah, blah. That's my story. So after 9 years of studying a lot of his lectures, I've come to understand a lot about, hey, Daniel from Costa Rica. Man, that dude's savage. He's one of the chosen warriors when it comes to the actual blood battle of good and evil that may or may not take place in the coming years. You're going to be happy that you had Daniel on your side. Even though you might not get along with him outside of that context, you're going to be happy that you had Daniel on your side. And he's definitely on the good side. So that's dope. Welcome. So there's been a lot of changes. I've put out the free document, the IMC Evolutions document, that kind of lists. If you ever read the Bible, there's a chapter in the Old Testament called Numbers. It's just numbers after numbers after numbers. Hindu has that too in one of these books. Just lineages and shit. And it's kind of like that. It's a boring document, but to the person who's fascinated with the lineage and the evolution of the teachings, I've listed it all out. Obviously, I've done many podcasts and stuff too. The main changes that happened was essentially AZD's collaboration with Vince Kelvin for 2 or 3 years, then AZD's solo teaching for 2, 3 years, then the Tabiat program, aka Messengers, that started in 2019, and that went on for and then that transitioned into boot camps. There was nothing like that before. It was sporadic, every 6 months or something, or years outdated. He wasn't doing events. He was just teaching online and living life, coaching his girls and guys. He had a martial arts studio and a fucking women's fitness studio, whatever. No, it's not whatever. It's a big deal, but it's like I don't want to make the story too long. So Tabiat, this $25,000 immersive training that was just so reality shifting, and even after studying with him for many years and meeting him in person and one-on-ones and things, like that one was like that was a bomb. Literally, it was a grenade in. It was bigger than that. It was a bomb. Then the next big transition is we move in with him in a base. That was 2020, and things have been kind of the same since then, except when we moved to Vegas. And by the same, I mean like it's an era. It's the same era, and now we're in the modern era here in Vegas. And through that, there's been something I've noticed about his teachings. He shifts characters, like I was explaining last night at the party. He spirals through these characters, and I have this 16-minute YouTube video that explains this in more detail. But I've noticed there's a pattern to the transitions, but then there's also a randomness, a chaos to the transitions, meaning it's not predictable. It's like weather. You kind of predict it, but not really. And he seems to be becoming aware of it also, that he was not aware of it. He said until we moved in with him and we started reporting back to him, he was just doing his artistry that he had learned from, his own beingness, but he had some great teachers. Manu particularly comes to mind. But all of his main teachers, he's a lifestyle artist and he lives life artistically, and he's connected that art to his survival and to his replication, to his relationships and to his, how he makes money, and also how he survives on a 3D level, like as a fighter, as a avatar. You got to repel danger with how you look. You know how like bullies pick on the weaklings? Don't look like the weakling. So that's part of the game, like controlling that communication, that level of it. So he's an artist of lifestyle and relationships. And what I was going to talk about today on this thing, it's escaping me for a second. 1 second.
Six-sided pyramid.
Thank you. The six-sided pyramid. Let me get this piece of paper and I'll draw it. Yeah, I know my shorts stay high cuffed, but I'm a yogi and a wrestler. So this is how you fucking wrestle and you do yoga with fucking high thigh shorts. So it doesn't get in the way. You know what I'm saying? You take a stance, or you do some yoga pose, leg behind your head. You don't need long clothes. So let's get it to a clean piece of paper or some. Actually, we'll just start on the back of this little thing here. Okay. And I'm not an artist, so maybe I am. I'm really going for it. Let's just say, for example, a hexagon, hex, like the hexes that women put on fucking beta men. Hex. Agon, six-sided. So let's call this side chosen. This side messengers. This corner is Panjo. That's his fighting system. This side is Manu tech. That's acting tech. That's the private moments, the communing with natures, the relaxation techniques, the principle of a fourth wall, how to live privately when you're being observed. This is all part of living artistically. And that's a certain value that's way beyond DHV story of, your niece needed a fucking protector or something. That's good, but tell that story artistically, because with the body language that is aesthetic, the tonalities that are, and that's the Manu tech. Learn aesthetics, the highest bandwidth of perception, right next to ethics. And Manu tech, and then we have a beast process, which is largely stoicism, but also just understanding how to take control. It's all this, I have this coat of arms tattooed on my chest. It's the coat of arms it's a sigil, a symbol that connects a person to some very important, the most important teachings of stoicism and how to thrive in any environment as a man. Any environment, pick your environment, thrive. How to thrive. It's the code to how to do that. And test me, quiz me, question me. That's the conclusion I've come to. Yogi Chris, PhD. So the beast process, and then we have the sixth one, which is what is the sixth one? Oh, the most noticeable one. Nashto, you know which one that is? The one that brings all the lime milkshakes, bring all the boys to the yard. Which one is it?
Game.
Game. That's all the seduction, relationships, psychology, going in field, picking up chicks. That's game. I know my handwriting's tiny. Okay, so here's what I realized. If you were on class today in AZD, and I've had like 3 of these short conversations with him where he talks about skinwalker. It's a secret word. It's super taboo even just to bring it up. But you can also look up documentaries on skinwalkers. It's not what AZD is talking about, but the word it has a lot of power to it inside the mind as you process the word. And so he has like everything. He unpacks the vocabulary of a subject in a way that creates all kinds of different associations between the words than what you would normally feel out in the matrix of humanity. The cultural matrix has you associating words with meanings in ways that keep you a slave, keep you weak, keep you docile, keep you feminine, keep you high estrogen, low testosterone. Those are the ideas that are pushed in textbooks, in public schools, in media, built in everything, fashion, music. Because, man, at the highest levels, the rulers of the planet are looking at billions of people and what moves the masses and makes them the most money in the long term, keeping us at a certain level, is actually part of their strategy. It makes sense. It'd be part of my strategy if I was them. When my decisions affect billions of people, right now, if I make a decision, it affects like how many people? Really?
5.
And to what level does it affect them? Like,
No.
Maybe more. I'm captain of IMC Nation. I do affect people, but the difference between 100 people and 100,000 people, if I was going to affect 100,000 people at the level that I affect these 100 people, so that we're not watering it down, how much power and influence would I need for 100,000 people? And somebody can, do a backhanded deal in a political meeting to get a certain tax law passed that, certain individuals have to pay certain amount. You know what I'm saying? Like, you affect people, and then the rulers are even higher than that, because those aren't the rulers. Those are just the politicians. Yeah. So that level of effect. Why am I going into that? So I have this 6-sided shape with 6 corners, and then we have what I would call because like I said, I didn't do a good art piece. Let's go out here. This is Nibiru. Nibiru. You know what Nibiru is? Who knows what Nibiru is? Quick quiz. Go ahead and type it if you know it. If you know what Nibiru is, I'll give you one of my ebooks for free. But you got to type it in the next 10 seconds. And I know there's a lag on Instagram. And this is a $65 ebook of lecture notes, compiles hundreds of AZD lectures into 60 or 70 pages. Yeah, that's not good enough. You gotta be more. I'll give you part 2. No, you're Googling it. That's what's happening. All right. Nibiru, yeah. It's a secret planet that exists outside of, I believe, the Oort cloud, and the Oort cloud surrounds the solar system outside of Pluto. And outside of that Oort cloud is a large planet that orbits in a very elliptical orbit. And it might even be a brown dwarf star, which means it's very warm for a planet. Big, heavy gravity, blah, blah, blah. Supposedly reptilians evolved there and became technological, and they came to Earth, right? In the past, right? Who built the pyramids, etc. And so, like a recent video that I put out, and I'm also going to email it to the guys on the newsletter. So if you're not on the newsletter, you can DM me, be like, hey, I want to be on the IMC newsletter. It's a secret video. So AZD and I were talking, and we had Skinwalker or Skinwalking. Again, he has his own definition of what that is. And as you define, like when you define a word, it takes other words to define it. So let's say you have like a 4 or 5 word sentence that defines that word. Now those 4 or 5 words, you got to make sure you have all of those words defined also. They have definitions. What if one of those 5 words also AZD had a new and different definition for it that associated it differently in your mind to other concepts? Slightly. It makes sense when you hear it. It's like, oh yeah, I could do it that way. But why do it that way? Keep listening. Then there'll be another new definition, another new definition. Pretty soon you have a whole new matrix of understanding the same language. And success is the proof. It works better. At what? Whatever is attracting you to here that isn't existing elsewhere. Okay. Game, fulfillment, relationships with everybody, everything and everybody. Especially yourself, you know. But that's a trap. That's a trapping concept. It traps you to think of my relationship with myself. It turns into self-worship, and that's not what it is. You and the Father are one, but that's not for here. This is a public stream, so you go. You know, it's my responsibility as the messenger to understand that it's not about hiding the truth or not. It's that some truths are too heavy too soon and will repel somebody that could have been helped. But I had to lay it on so thick too soon. You know what I mean? But there's a depth. There's so much depth to the teachings here. And what I'm saying is these are the 6 corners that I've identified. Then there's this point out here called Skinwalker. And what I'm going to do, because I'm not going to be able to do it upside down looking at the camera, is I'm just going to draw it right here in a way that reminds me of playing pool, because I have to like look at my target. Okay, it's not a great image, but maybe you get the idea. If you could see, it is a pyramid, a 6-sided pyramid. It's like a cone. It's a 6-sided cone, but why wouldn't it be a pyramid? It's very tall, but at the top, all of the techniques, all of the branches. So now this pillar, you could say, is the beast pillar. This pillar is the Manu pillar. These are the pillars that hold up the point. Skinwalking, which I'm not defining, but it has to do with communication and really being able to relate with what you're communicating with, and the abilities that AZD demonstrates and that get transferred to us. Skinwalking also as a camp was a camp that was offered. It was just a regular priced camp as all the other camps. And recently it was offered on a 24-hour deal, one of these 24-hour deals for like $250 or something, $300. Normally it's $700. But I grabbed it at the early bird price for what it was when it was early bird. And it's just a small 3-lecture weekend that spells it out. And it becomes an ability that these other subjects are pillars for. Remember, AZD, multiple relationships, very influential, looks and influence. You know, people. Somebody asked me the other day, one of these strippers or whatever, was like, how many followers does he have? She said it in whatever way. And I was like, it's not about that. It's about loyalty and the status. Because if you had 100 followers that'll kill for you versus 100,000 followers that won't even buy your fucking eraser pen, well, they're more of a celebrity by numbers of followers, but what is this over here? And then if you have 100 guys that, you know, maybe they're willing to kill for you or whatever, but then you have this other 100 guys that they might be willing to kill for you, but they have the loyalty and the resources to hire an army, each one of them. Now you're talking about the status combined with the loyalty. Status without loyalty is worthless to me. Loyalty without status is pretty good. You have some status. If you're a complete incapable individual, then your loyalty isn't worth anything. But the more capable you are, the more your loyalty is worth. Hence, in this integrated philosophy, IMC, integrated mental concepts, the pursuit is higher and higher and higher levels of ability. And I know that's a very general word, How do you define that word, Yogi Chris? Ability. I don't know. Look it up. Ability. To have higher ability, more ability. The human being can have more ability than what you're operating at. Distractions, lusts and desires, uh, just physical unawareness, like what things that. So more ability. So these, that's an ability. Skinwalking is an ability. And then these are the subjects, the fighting, how to defend yourself, how to have awareness about that, how to use that to develop your character as a being, how to spar, how to move, how to learn new movements, how to handle near-death experiences. That's what getting choked out is, or getting armbarred is. How to handle yourself when you lose, when you win, camaraderie and male-to-male communication. And that inevitably in this system, Panjo system, develops awareness of female and male-to-female communication, female-to-female communication. And that's the Panjo. That's difficult to get. You get a little bit if you go get some fighting somewhere, go to join a fighting gym or something. But it's just not the Panjo mindset. It is unique and different. Just stay in your lane. AZD has stayed in his lane. So it may seem like he's mastered these 6 subjects and more, but he's really just staying in his lane. Like when I was teaching yoga, I was not that experienced of a yoga teacher or practitioner. I was good and focused and etc. I had positive, intelligent, driven. So I still developed 3 or 4 or 5 subjects that were built on other people's subjects, of course, many of them. But I just stayed in my lane, bro. I couldn't do, there's so many subjects in yoga. I just stayed in my lane. And so it may seem like it's so much, but it's a man's life's work. And it's being distilled down into simple, just a simple. It's just that. So, game, obviously people like game. That's one of these corners, that becomes a pillar. Going in field, going out, talking, interacting. Of course, you could do the online game. Ultimately, you're going to meet in person. So it's going to include that. And as you go up the ladder of conditions and get better and better and better condition on that pillar, it's going to be more and more in person. You know what I mean? To the point where you're always surrounded by people and women, ultimately game. Or your army, your tribe or your women, but not outsiders really. The beast process, etc. Very important for character development and creating that foundation. Manu's tech, aesthetics. Panjo, a sense of survival. And, that became the game. That was I think I was explaining it yesterday at the party or whatnot, but it was the expansion or the extrapolation, which means to like, try to use other big words. So basically to just like derive from, or, see, it's hard to not use big words for these big words. They're like families of words. Anyway, just developing your sense of survival from a very raw self-defense perspective. And then we have the messengers and chosen. Messengers and chosen. Now, I did an offer today at the end of class, was the sales training, which was, great, especially the first 5 or 6 lectures. After that, it got very specific towards the sales guys that were part of the Vegas team. And then they changed their business. They did something different after about a month. I might have stayed with that, but I wasn't in their shoes doing that cold calling. But the first 5 or 6 lectures is all mindset. And AZD's mindset is like no other mindset. There's pieces that you'll get elsewhere. If you want to look up esoteric teachings about money and currency, you'll get some stuff. I just don't know if those guys are applying it. They're making clever videos and stuff, and then you can look up billionaires and you'll get some, glimpses of mindset and sound bites or whatever. And then again, like have a mentor apply it. And then really at the end of the day, the equation for people's money, guys' money, and how they make money, is it's so disintegrated from your game that how you make money is at odds with how you game. You're not developing your character for interacting with women or having relationships with women, understanding women. All you're doing is making money to spend on women, which is part of it. That's the thing. You can't ever abandon that because that's what it is. Why else are you making the money? But it's a mentality. It's the same thing with dating. Guys have a mentality with dating that's defeated and victim and looking up to the woman, and they just don't even know it. They're just doing what everybody else did. Maybe they looked up a video here and there and they changed a little bit. Maybe they came across a natural player somewhere and picked up a thing or two. But none of those guys, even the players or whoever, whatever person made a video, is really demonstrating it on a lifestyle level. They just have a budget above average success, maybe. A lot of them are gimmicks. And which I would include like drug sellers and users of that, people that use drugs and alcohol in excess, really, to get women. That's as good as a phony to me also. So what am I saying here? So these pillars lead to an ability, which seems to be, it's because it's such a tiny subject like Nibiru. It's this planet, this very dense, high gravity brown dwarf planet. Brown dwarf is like a star that's so cold it's not nuclear. So it's a very hot planet, essentially. It depends on how much rock and gas is on it, and the atmosphere can make the surface of a planet very high pressure, and not really high gravity, but high pressure for sure. And it makes sense that planet is out there. And this is as good as those abilities. If you look up the Skinwalker documentary, which is way above the pay grade of the free social media freeloaders, but you could look up skinwalking, I guess, the Skinwalkers, and it'll start to get you in that direction. So everybody else, I see guys are on Instagram, Armando, I don't know that you got the sales training. Now's your chance to really take advantage of that. It's $300. It's normally $697. It was $597 early bird, so I way surpassed the early bird. At $300, these lectures are going to change. How it's going to be something you'll want to revisit over and over. There's processes of the mind and changing your state of mind about money, and in a permanent way. So it's really changing your beliefs, is better said. It's not just your state of mind. It's changing your beliefs about money and value exchange and sales. And that's invaluable. Diamond Bavel, if you don't have the sales training, brother, it's $300. It's a drop bottom discount. And, for guys that are on this stream, if you get it from this stream, what can I add that would contribute to this? I can't just give more AZD content away for free because it's his content, his information. He dug it up and mined it from the collective consciousness and from the super conscious and wherever the fuck he got it from, and his own experience. But I may have something. Is there anything sales related? Because that's this training. Obviously, I have my notes from the sales training. I don't know if it'll sweeten the deal for you. Hopefully it does. Is there anybody out there that's considering getting this? Like now, because it's 10. If you don't get it before, you got to commit to getting it now. And then it needs to be a commitment of a date and time. And if you miss that, then the deal's off. Because it's really a deal until 10 a.m. tomorrow. And what I'm about to offer is something added. And I could tell you about it. I just don't know if anybody's like really interested. So I'm just gauging because we have a bunch of people on Instagram and, Josh Ramos, you're on the members class. Do you want this $300 sales training? Do you need to understand more about it? Just the idea of learning sales from AZD. It's AZD sales and language. You know what I'm saying? Mellow Man, I know we talked before. Diamond Bavel, I know everybody, they're trying to hold on to their money or whatever. It's really having that hustle and that drive. I believe you got to put your back against the wall. Mentally, emotionally, you got to put your back against the wall so that you can really start moving forward. Wherever you are, once you take 10 steps forward, put the wall behind your back again, and then take 10 more steps forward, and then put the wall behind your back again. In fact, that's better said. Let it be said that Yogi Chris said, don't put your back against the wall, put the wall against your back. Wherever you are, keep putting the wall against your back so you keep moving forward. That's called a sense of urgency. And, spending money on trainings that make you better and make you make more money is one of those very obvious engines. It's like 0-point energy. You spend your last dollar on how to make money, and then you make money with it. And then you spend your last dollar on how to make money again, and then you make money with it. Now, there's 1,000 systems, 1 billion systems out there to make money, But which one of those systems also helps you in relationships and get women, which is why you're going to make money. You want to make a family, you want to take care of your family, but then you want the mates of your dreams, you want the lifestyle of your dreams. And you could be a basic normie, regular, rich simp that takes vacations and has polar opposite lives and ends up being that guy that lies to his wife and has two wives and lies to them both and has two families. It's very common amongst the wealthy. But what a heartache to live in that condition where you can't even be honest, can't even merge your families. They can't take care of each other's kids. So you go on a trip with the one wife while the other wife takes care of everybody's kids. Like that's how a real family unit, tribe, kingdom would run like that. But you got to weaken your power because you can't be honest because fucking you're disintegrated. Philosophy is disintegrated. And if you were found out, then you might lose something. Mando Mindgate, is it about sales or non-sales? Like I deal with money without selling, but by pressing a button and dealing with psychology that can impede my growth. I'll tell you this much. If you were involved in sales, it would be more beneficial. But the mindset lectures have to do with your feelings, your outlook about money, about value exchange, about what is currency and how to use that and how that plays in game also, because he's just weaving these together in a way that you'll want if you want this game, because it is a game of value. It's not a game of manipulation outside of I'm manipulating with value and at the highest levels, because let's say you could offer an alcoholic chick some nice alcohol or something and that's value to her, but if you have multiple relationships, it's not value to your other girlfriends that you do that, because what a risk to them. You're that kind of guy that gets the chick drunk to get with her, but like as the value, it's nothing wrong with offering a drink. I'm saying that you're doing it to get somewhere with her. That is low value to other girls. So at the highest levels, as you have multiple beautiful relationships, your behavior gets more and more calibrated to succeed. And if it doesn't, then it crashes. That's what happens. You get a bunch of girls, then they go away. Then you get some more girls, then they go away. You get some more. But what I've learned on this path is you breathe and it gets bigger each time. You have some success and then some go in, and some successes and then some, and it comes in these waves where like new women come into your life. And it may start with like you get a girl and then it'll happen she goes away, then it'll happen that you get two girls, they both go away, then it'll happen that you get two girls but one stays and one goes away, then it'll happen that a second girl comes and she goes away, but you're breathing bigger now, then it comes two girls come and they stay, and then maybe a third girl comes and then breaks, two girls leave, and now you're left with one girl, but you had a feeling of expansion because you got a little bit more success, and it comes like that. And I don't know where I'm going with that, but I know that the money, understandings of money and how that relates to value. So the game is in value exchange also, and learning how you're talking about these subjects to yourself becomes how you act on these subjects, and you're acting in very unconscious ways about money with a certain neediness and scarcity that is apparent in your game with women. It's a mindset. Every day I go out, I want to take this off, but I don't want to get censored because I'm hot, but I don't have a t-shirt handy. 1 second. I'm going to wrap it up in a minute. If you guys got any questions, I was going to tell you about this special PDF I was going to add. So if you remind me what I was just saying, mindset about money, value, DHVs, language. Anyway, it feels good to be an integrated man. You don't know how disintegrated you are until you start integrating. Like Nashta was just saying. Am I saying your name right?
Nasto.
Nasto. Coming across certain teachings in the last 7 days or so, and it's starting to weave together your psyche and emotions about those subjects where you were separated, When you're separated, you're weak and you're low energy because it takes a lot of energy to be scattered, but still together. You're still technically together, but you're scattered. But like, bring it together, center. That's what this is, a geometry of just what's needed. But as you peer into it, it's like, whoa, there's more, there's more, there's more. It's like a fractal. But so what I was going to add, there was a mentorship that AZD did, which is called business mentorship. There's the sales mentorship and the business mentorship, 2 different trainings. The business mentorship happened about a year ago during a messenger's training. This was a $20,000 training that guys paid for online. It was not in person. For about 2 months, they were lectured on some very high-level subjects. About half of those were business lectures that another group of guys paid $2,000 for. So it was a $2,000 business mentorship embedded in a $20,000 messenger's mentorship. And in that is about 14 lectures or something that really covers more on branding and marketing and attitude in your brand. That's what branding is. It's a developing that, finding the things about you that are so charming that you leverage in your brand and how to discover that. For example, I'm a champion. And even if I didn't win every championship ever made, I've experienced championship and I carry myself like championship and I talk like championship. I want to be the best and I want you to be the best. If you show up to my podcast, I want you to be the best. If you come through me, my ministry, into AZD programs, I want you to outdo everybody else's guys. That's why I'm proud Zotis came through me. And Frank White, right? Came through Frank White. But who got him into this? You know what I mean? Okay. Is that Zeus above Maharishi photo behind you? No, that is Maharishi's teacher, Gurudev. So, yeah, that's the lineage. And if you've learned TM, then comment on that because I have an episode of my podcast to share with you that about our initiation into the TM here. If you're interested in IMC history and that sort of thing, then you would love that episode. It's short. So there was a business mentorship that has references and branding, and it's my notes, basically, from those lectures. I would include my notes from the business mentorship in the sales program, if you want that today. If you get that on the stream right now, like if you commit to me right now that you're going to get this, and then I'll need to know, like, okay, when's payment? Is payment now? Or, you know, if it needs to be whenever, then it's just you got to commit to it. I got to agree to it. But otherwise, you could get it before 10 a.m. tomorrow, and you'll get, it's obviously the value is there, or you could get it in the future. But commit to it now, and I'll lock in the price for you. Okay, is there anything else to say? So this is my, imagery of the pillars of AZD. They're no longer just vertical pillars holding up like a fucking Greek rooftop. They're now almost like a teepee tent, but not really, because I like it more of a pillar. It's more like it's different spines or ridges to this ability called skinwalking, which is a very esoteric and technical term for the communication abilities that AZD exhibits. Okay, that was my conclusion. Any other questions or comments or feedback? I feel like I should smile more. So I'm going to smile more.
Yogi Chris, can you just repeat the 6 sides? I think it's messengers, chosen, Panjo, Manu, beast process, and game. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I see it. Originally, I saw it like one of those Greek buildings that was like kind of looked like the Washington Monument, or not the George. Yeah.
Like Coliseum type thing.
So it kind of looked like that, like 6 pillars holding up a roof, like 6 vertical pillars. But now I'm seeing it as like these 6 edges of a pyramid that all come together Otherwise, it would be like here. It would be the analogy would be the roof would be skinwalking. Uh, but like I said, skinwalking is only a 3 lecture boot camp that was given about a year ago. It was September, I think, of 2023 when we were still in San Jose. Had no concept of moving to Vegas yet, and uh, it was in LA. I think. I think we traveled to LA and had an Airbnb somewhere in Hollywood, and we were walking Hollywood, and AZD was skinwalking. Man, he was describing with vivid accuracy the spiritual essence of buildings, of homeless people, of different people we would meet, of different experiences, different words, different foods, and you know, really stretching our mind. I think there's some behind the scenes involved in that camp too. So if you're just hearing about that, I did give that offer for a 24-hour deal. If you did not hear about it before and you want that, then I'll give you that early bird deal, whatever it was. It's $250. I know we're always selling shit, but that's what it is. I am all about this. I got AZD IMC tattooed here. I got AZD tattooed here. That's an AZD tattoo. That's an AZD tattoo. That's an AZD quote. That's a Manu quote that comes through AZD. You know what I'm saying? This is fucking Hermes. Where the fuck did I learn about Hermes? The 7 laws of alchemy are on the back of my head. Who the fuck taught me about the 7 laws of alchemy? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a handful of tattoos that are not, but I'm all about this. So to learn this stuff, there's these 6 subjects. How do you get into Chosen? The Chosen package, what's so beautiful about that package, that $1,300 package I gave the other day, is that it's comprehensive. That is the Chosen tech. The game, I mean, you only get so much that you got to come in person and go out. The Beast process, that's another one like Chosen. Where literally for $1,500, you get the whole Beast process and the evolution of it. And the difference about it is you got to do it. So in the morning, you need a routine 2 hours before you report for work, at least 2 hours to do a mindset routine, everything. And you develop yourself, man, in such a way that you won't be the same. None of these you'll be the same after, you know. Panjo, like I said, what are you going to do? You fight somewhere, you got to come and get it here. We got to open our fight gym. That's unfortunate, but, you know, that's what it is. And when you get that, you'll see that that's a needed nutrient. Even if you're 400 pounds and you just spar around with Benny, just that something about that. Manu Tech, rare. That's a rare gem to come across and do. I think everybody, as they level up, will have opportunities to do private moments, and we should, and we will. And you develop the other processes of Manu's Tech as it becomes relevant. It is such an X factor in what AZD does that it's, you know, there was an era that we went through it more, and maybe it'll come back. We did a private moment as recently as a month ago. That was a guy in Denmark. And then that's all of them, right? And then skinwalking becomes the ability that you unlock. And it will be honed and developed further. Oh, messengers. I didn't talk about messengers. So messengers is where I would put the business and sales, because it's these deep esoteric meanings about everything related to that family of concepts: business, money, marketing, sales, money, success. He really redefined success for everybody, and that will change your trajectory on what the fuck you're doing. It'll change your ability to eliminate distractions and stay focused at the purpose at hand, but as a man, not in a way that makes you brittle, as a way that makes you more of a man. Defined by who women are attracted to and want to be in relationships with because they're in love with, and who men want to follow because you're strong and you represent survival. Okay? All right. So we should wrap it up. Diamond, Luke Kumo, are you on class yet, man? I don't know if you're a member yet. And Josh Ramos, what do you guys think about the sales program? You've been watching this whole time, but you're kind of silent about it.
Oh,
I think was on it. He was there for it. What's up?
I said I wanted to talk about that for a second, but
Yeah.
I heard you mention other people's names first.
Yeah, I'm calling them out because they're just like wallflowers right now on Instagram. Yeah, go ahead, and then I gotta wrap it up.
All right, I'm gonna commit to the business mentorship. I told you last night at the party, I got an interview tomorrow. I'm picking up a couple more jobs, so just give me a couple weeks for that. But I'm definitely committing to it today, and then I want to know more about the Transcendental Meditation podcast.
Yes. Okay. I'll send you the Transcendental Meditation episode right after I end this, and then just stay in communication with me. So let's say today is Sunday, right? So tomorrow, you should message me about the status of that job. Every day, message me about the status of your job so I know you're not just flaking. And then when you know the status of your job, you get a job, then you'll know in 2 weeks I have my paycheck. So then you can tell me in 2 weeks exactly. And then we go from there. Then it's scheduled. Sound fair?
Right. Sounds good.
Cool. Nice. And then if I forget, remind me that I offered to add the business mentorship notes, my business mentorship notes in there. I don't think it's long. It's like 3 to 6 pages, but it's packed, man. I've gotten good at taking notes, I think, too. Okay, everybody. Thank you for attending. And I mean, I've said so much. I think it's good. Os, praise the Lord. Jay Guru Dev.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Fuck the rest.